Okay, so as you can see, the script is done running. And how can you tell when it's done? You can tell by the scenario status. So it is done. So it ran for 3 minutes and 3 minutes and 2 seconds. And this is what I love here. All the transactions passed. So we have 100 transactions that passed. There was 0 failed transaction and there was 0 error. So as you can see here that this was a very relatively easy performance test. We didn't stress the system. The system handled everything we gave it very easily, and everything was a pass. Okay, so once you've done this, you've essentially ran your first performance test. Now let's bring the results. And to open the results, LoadRunner has another tool to do that, and we call that the analyzer. And to get to the analyzer, you can just easily click on here, and I believe the analyzer is the blue one. You can say invoke LoadRunner analysis. So right away, it opens up the analyzer for you to analyze your test you've just ran. So I believe it was Samba in class that said he loves the simplicity of the analyzer, and that is a fact. It makes everything look really, really easy and very simple. Now, as you can see, it's empty. There's nothing in here, and you're going, where is my results? Now we have to go open up the results that we just ran. So to do that, I believe you press new, and you have to find the raw results from your last test. And this is a little bit annoying, but you have to be careful here. So to know where it is saved, go back into your controller, and it's a little trick that I use myself, and I press run. I'll try to run this again. Now when I run this again, LoadRunner tells me, do you want to overwrite the file? I'm going to say, well, I don't want to do that, but this is exactly where the file is saved in controller. So this is where I want the analyzer to go. And there's no easy way of doing this than just keeping this open and pointing your LoadRunner to that exact location. So I know it's C busyQA 3 users, right? I can just go back, I guess. This is the only annoying thing about it. And I'm sure there's an easier way, but I just don't know it right now, and this is how I do it. C users busyQA 3 app data local. So let's type in app data local. So busyQA, if you don't see it, sometimes it's hidden. So you type it in yourself, app data. Okay, see, it's hidden. Local. Go back into your controller, and the other one is temp res. So you have to find the temp res. So that's temp. It's essentially we're going to the temporary folder. That's where we're going. And res. Okay, so now once I load that into this, Analyzer takes everything and displays a beautiful graph for you. Okay, so as you can see, this is what you can print off to your colleagues, to your managers, to show off exactly the results that we just did. And right away, what should get your eyes is how many users did you use to run the test. So we had 10 users. We call them load. Some people call it V users. But we had 10 users run this test at the same time. In that duration, we sent this much data to the server. We call that the throughput, which is exactly what the server was busy doing at the time. There was 640 hits to the server, and there was an average per second of 3.497 hits to the server. Those are not really important. You can forget those ones. But what is key here is this. We have 3 transactions: book a flight, sign in, and sign off. Those were our transactions. And right away, you want to look at the average. Always look at the average. So for the 10 users, the average time it took them to run this test was 1.58 seconds to sign in, was a 0.38. To sign off was a 0.15, which is expected. when we ran this test, we knew that the longest time it was going to take anybody was to book a flight. Then we know the next long one was to sign in. Then the last one is to sign off. And my friends, I told you guys in class, the standard is 5 seconds, right? In the real world. As you can see, this was not really a stress to the server. I mean, these are pretty easy tests that we've done. Even the maximum, as you can see, the maximum time. So there was a user, because this is the average. So there was a user that experienced this time. And even for that user, the maximum time is still pretty good. Okay, so that is good news for us. And we can see that they all passed. Right? So we had transactions run. So book a flight was done 20 times. So essentially, we booked 20 flights during this test. Sign-in was done 20 times, and sign-off was done 20 times, and there was no failure, and there was no stoppages. Okay, now we have what we call graphs in the analyzer that further explains things to you. The first one is number of users. As you can see, is a green. So you look out for the green arrow, and you can see the green is at 10. And for the test was for exactly 3 minutes. So it was a very short test I ran. As you can see, we had 10 users go on for about 3 minutes before dropping off. Okay? So that is the graph to show you your load. The hits per second. Hits per second shows you how many hits the server was getting every second. So this is the duration of the test in minutes, and it was for 3 minutes. As you can see, the server was going up and down. So there will be a time where there will be a lot of requests from the server. Then it drops, then it picks up, then it drops, then it picks up, which is very good. This is real life, is a real life test because the hits is up and down, and there's a period of about maybe 20 seconds where the server had no request. Okay, so this is good, and you find most of the time the hits per second and the throughputs, they will look alike. So again, you can see from the period of 10 to 20, there was nothing going on. So the throughput of the server as well was pretty much nothing, because the server was doing nothing at this point because there was no request. So this is the throughput, and you can see the server was really busy around this time doing a lot of work. You can see it was processing a lot of data around this time, almost 120,000 and 120,000 there. And if you see the hits around 3 minutes, you can see the hit was pretty high around 3 minutes. But what is interesting was it was also the high here as well. But this spike here didn't cause a lot of throughputs, but the next one did. So these are interesting things you can see going on in the server. But anyways, the most interesting one for us is to see how many times the transactions go around, which is 20. We've seen that already. And the response time. This is my favorite one. So your response time, you want to check off the ones you don't need, because LoadRunner also has its own transactions that you can't see. So to do that, just take off the action. And essentially these 3 transactions are, they're basically the transactions from the VU gen. So VU, remember, but because everything we did was an action, you can actually ignore the end, because there's nothing in there, and the initialization as well. You can just take that off. The action is basically the whole time for the entire script. I don't usually encourage people to use this because it's better to use transactions that you measured yourself. So let's check that as well. All right, so now we have 3 transactions, and as you can see, the book a flight, that was the response time for book a flight. So there was a time when booking a flight was done within 1.7 seconds. Then it started getting slower and slower and slower and slower and slower. But after some time, it got really fast. The system was booking flights really good, and it was going down. And then again, it started to go up again. this, as I said, this is not really a stress, so everything is good. But in some performance tests you will see the chart will start from a low response time and it just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. Okay, but the fact that this is going down and up is very healthy. Signing. Now, signing, as you can tell, is a relatively fast operation. See, compared to where response to book a flight is, signing is right at the bottom, and this is a very fast. And this is actually very healthy. It got faster. So signing in got faster, as you can see. And the reason for that is this: the first time, it happens to everybody. When you sign into a website, the browser kind of records your address. It records certain things. So the next time you go in, it's going to be faster. And that's what you can see here, that the longer people started signing in, their browsers remembered them. So things were getting faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, and they actually dropped off. So this is a good test. And the same thing happened for sign off as well. Sign off is a very fast transaction. As you can see, it also dipped. So looking at three of them, I can tell that they all dipped, meaning they all went down. So I think what essentially happened was the server, the throughput got easier. The load got simpler. We weren't stressing the server. We started stressing at the top, but towards the end, it got really, really simple. And as you can see, everything was dying off. So this is a performance test, and this is a very kind or nice performance test, but the idea is the same. And if you want to print this out, I believe you can just easily print any of these diagrams, or you can send it to your manager or to anybody, your coworker you like. Okay, so this is the end of LoadRunner. So we've essentially gone through all the three components of LoadRunner. I've showed you how to record using the video gen. I've showed you how to set up your control, which is what determines all these results. And an invalid control setup will give you an invalid data. So make sure you understand controller the most, because that's what's going to generate this data for you. And lastly, I showed you the LoadRunner analysis, which shows you all the graphs, and the summary reports that you can print out and give to anybody. Okay, so that's the end of our video class, and I'll see you guys on Friday for the lab.